Facebook. Say hi, Facebook.
Hi.
Hi, this is the 5-year-old. Say hi, 5-year-old.
Hi.
And I am Jody Parker of Higher Living Journey, and it is September 5th, 2018. And I am going live tonight with Today's Thought, which I do every Monday through Thursday evening. And I always try and talk about something that is relevant to a lot of people. And one of my friends asked me to talk about MTHFR. You know about that?
Yeah.
Yeah? What do you know about it?
Supplement.
You have to say loud.
A supplement that's folic acid.
Folic acid. Did you hear that, everybody? She said folic acid. Okay, here's what you need to know about MTHFR. It is a gene. It stands for methyl tetrahydrofolate reductase. Anything that ends in ACE, A-S-E, is an enzyme. And what do enzymes do? They speed up chemical reactions in our body. And the MTHFR gene makes the enzyme that helps you break down folate. Do you know what vitamin folate is? She doesn't know. It's vitamin B9. And it's in the news. A lot of people talk about it. Oh my gosh, I have an MTHFR mutation. Well, a lot of people have it. Somewhere between 40 and 70%. We don't know exact numbers. And people really freak out about it. And is it that big a deal? It can be. So here's what you need to know. Because it breaks down folate, which is vitamin B9, synthetic B9 is called folic acid. And the terms are used interchangeably. Folic acid and folate are used interchangeably, but they are not the same thing, are they? They're not the same thing. So they're a different chemical structure. And an enzyme is like a key. It works with a certain structure. And so when that gene is not making the enzyme correctly or efficiently, then you're already having an issue. And if you take folic acid, the enzyme can't break it down. And what happens is, if you've got a key that goes into the lock like this, the folic acid will go into the cell membrane and it'll stay there, but it can't be used. And so then here comes some folate and it wants to go in the cell and it can't because the folic acid is stuck there. And so over a long period of time, you end up with B9 deficiency if you have MTHFR and you're taking folic acid. Why is this such a big deal all of a sudden? Well, in the late 90s, they started enriching all the food. And she's nodding with me and she insisted on going live with me tonight. And when they enriched the food, they didn't do it with folate, which is natural B9. They did it with folic acid, which is synthetic B9. It can only be made in a lab. And they put it in cereals and in breads and in like the almond milks and the rice milks, and it's in everything. And with so many people having issues with that, over time, people started getting B9 deficient, which means that their cellular metabolism, how they made energy, didn't work as efficiently, and their production of glutathione, which is the main antioxidant the body uses to detox itself, your liver uses glutathione, isn't made efficiently. So people with MTHFR don't detox as efficiently, which has implications with all of the different toxins that we're living in the world. Can you think of a toxin we're living in with?
Glyphosate.
Right, glyphosate. That's a toxin that's in almost all of our food. And people with MTHFR can't detox it as well. Well, nobody can detox it well, but especially if you already have issues with making cellular energy and detoxing. And what we've seen in the last, decade is suddenly there's a huge rash of lip ties and tongue ties, and they call it a sacral dimple. If your baby has like at the top of their rear end, if they have like a dip right at the top there, that's a sacral dimple. So they're all things that are on the midline. Do you see that? Show them your widow's peak. Bend down. See how she's got a really like a peak right here? That's a midline defect. Well, folate's really important when you are developing as a fetus. And we know that our whole family has MTHFR. And so for us, it was really, really important not to eat folic acid. So that's the big thing. Now, It is one gene in a series of genes that do what's called methylation, which is how the genes turn themselves on and off. So a methyl group is just a carbon with 3 hydrogens. A really good source of methyl to support your methylation is greens. That's just one of the reasons why greens are so good for you, right?
Eat greens every single day.
Hey, look, she's my kid. But because of that, it just affects so many things. But there's a lot of other genes that can be affected in that cycle. And depending on what your personal epigenetics are, or your expression of your genes is what epigenetics are, depends on how exactly MTHFR affects you. But the big thing is don't eat folic acid. And if somebody tells you, it's okay, you can have folic acid even with MTHFR, no, you can't. No, you really can't. Don't do
listen to them.
Right? So if you're reading labels on a vitamin, whole food vitamins are key because your body processes food best because that's what we're meant to do, right? But in a lot of cases, it'll say folate at like 400 micrograms, but you can read the ingredients and it'll say folic acid, or it'll say folate as folic acid. They are not the same thing. You want methylfolate or folate. You do not want folic acid. So if you read the ingredients and it says folic acid, that's bad. The other thing you might want to watch out for if you have MTHFR, or if you suspect you might, if you have, the sacral dimple, if your baby had a lip tie or a tongue tie, things like that, the widow's peak. I said that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I said that. Sacral dimple, I think, is the other one. Then there's a couple other things. But if you suspect it, then you also want to stay away from synthetic B12, which is cyanocobalamin. So methylcobalamin is natural, and that's what your body uses. Cyanocobalamin is the cobalamin with cyanide on it. So your body has to take the cyanide molecule off, detox it, and add a methyl group on, which is that carbon and 3 hydrogen. And so if you're having trouble detoxing, you don't want B12, which is absolutely key to energy in your body. You don't want to have to detox the cyanide from it. Well, I found that in I think it was coconut milk. I had to call the company and say, it says B12, supplemented with B12 on it, and I had to call them and ask them, well, what form of B12? Cyanocobalamin. So we can't use that coconut milk anymore. And so you have to kind of be an ingredient detective, but those are going to be your big things. The one last thing I'll add, if you have MTHFR, well, again, this is not good for anybody, but especially if you have MTHFR, don't take Tylenol. And here's why. Do you know why?
No.
No, she doesn't know why, but she's about to learn why. Tylenol depletes your stores of glutathione by about 75%. And if you remember earlier, I mentioned glutathione's the main antioxidant your body uses to detox yourself. So if you take Tylenol and you already don't have enough glutathione and now you're bringing it down by 75%, you're in trouble. You can't detox. And our world is pretty toxic these days, right? And so don't take Tylenol. And if you have a child who you are vaccinating, do not give them Tylenol after a vaccination, because it will compound any possible reaction that they could be having. So that's my quick summary. This is my 5-year-old who is just entertaining to watch. Thank you for listening tonight. I see 7 of you. Hey, Joanna, I'm glad you're glad I'm talking about this. I don't see any questions or anything like that. So thank you all for watching. If you do have questions, let me know. And if you are looking to supplement your diet and you can't find a vitamin that works, because there's pretty much none out there because they can't guarantee folate levels without adding folic acid, you can ask me what I do, because I do have a solution for that. But I don't want this to be about sales. I want this to be about knowledge. But if you are looking for that information, please come to me and ask. You can tell everybody goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. Say see you tomorrow.
See ya tomorrow, maybe.
Maybe. She probably won't be live with me tomorrow night because now she's bored, right?
No.
No, my little ham. Okay, good night.